Well, there's been a fair bit of buzz around these things for a while now. These are the Zman Diezel MinnowZ, and this is the 4-inch. They come in a 5-pack. You can have a look at this. I'll just show you. That's what you're looking for in the shops, and they're just about everywhere. When I go looking for these things, they're not hard to find. The design on these things is really special, and it's this Elastec technology that Z-Man's come out with that mean that these things are just super stretchy. You can stretch them for ages and they're just not going to tear, which is fantastic for the applications of using them for things like mangrove jack, which is what I've mainly used these things for. They're good on flathead, and people use them for barra as a swim bait, a small, much more subtle approach for a barra. Let's just have a look at the way that she swims. Goes through the water really smooth, and that back tail goes nuts, and it's mainly because of the plastic that's been used for these things. That back tail just kicks really hard and fast, and it doesn't throw too much action further up the body of the lure, which I really like about these. If you have a look at the design, you can see that back paddle is fairly square. And then there's also like a dorsal couple of fins where you can hide your hook. If you see that, those two little flat dorsal fins, you can use that as a little hook hider if you're going for like a more weedless approach. And then underneath there's a slit here that just helps with pinning your hook in. One of the small drawbacks of these things is because that plastic is so soft, which is great when you're fishing, they're a little bit hard to rig, and you've got to be really careful. So if I just show you, as you put it in, the hook point, it doesn't pierce straight in. You've really got to push down, and the best way to rig it for mine is to put your fingers together and just follow it down as you go, and that'll keep it fairly straight on the way down. So you've just got to be a little bit careful when rigging these things, otherwise they're going to end up all wonky on your hook and they won't swim as well and they don't look as good in the water. You can fish these fairly slow or fast, they're great, and it's just that strength and the durability of that Elastec that really sets these apart from most other swim baits on the market. And then that action, and it's really subtle difference when I've been successful with these things with jacks, is getting that steady retrieve going to get the tail really pumping in that nice smooth cadence where it just kicks back and forwards. They cast quite well, although they are really light plastics themselves. Obviously if you're using a lead head you're fine, but if you're going unweighted, these things are really light because they've got that naturally buoyant feature to them, which is great in the water because they'll sit up for you and just wave about really naturally like a feeding fish on the bottom, just like that, because of that natural buoyancy, that low density or low relative density in the water. They're fantastic. Have a look at the design features. You can see there's a bit of attention to detail, which a lot of Z-Mans have got, just with that scale pattern and then that fin finish and that lateral line. They're just fantastic. And then that shine that they've got, that really smooth colour that reflects light really well. It's another reason why one of these Z-Mans are going to do the trick for you. They're about $9 in the shops. Like I said, they're everywhere. That's them, Z-Mans. I use these things around pontoons, bridges, out on the flats or flathead, they're fine, around jetties and that sort of thing. So if you've seen my Monster Jacks DVD, you'll know all about these because they feature in there. I might be able to just show you a couple of photos. Mick Horn's got some cracking photos on his Facebook stream with these things hanging out of big mangrove jacks mounts. They're great, and they come in a pack, which the new packets sort of have a holder for them, so they sit in more to look after that paddle tail. The old ones used to get a bit squashed, but they fix that up, which is good. I'll just remind you, don't sit these next to any other plastics because they'll burn and melt through each other, and then you just end up with a tackle box full of goo and no more plastics. The Z-Man Diezel Minnow.